On my birthday, my rich grandpa smiled and asked, "So, how do you spend your $3,400,000 trust fund?" The room went quiet, not the polite kind of quiet. The uncomfortable kind. Forks stopped clinking, glasses froze midair, every pair of eyes slowly turned toward me. I felt my heartbeat rise, not from excitement, but from something heavier, because the truth was, I didn't spend it, not a single dollar. The family that assumed everything. To them, I was the lucky one. The spoiled grandchild. The one, set for life. The one who didn't have to try. They whispered it for years. She's rich already. She doesn't need ambition. Money will solve her future. They never asked if I wanted that future. My grandfather's smile. My grandpa leaned back in his chair, confident. He built his wealth from nothing. Self-made, respected, feared. This was his favorite game, watching people explain themselves in front of him. "So," he repeated, gently tapping his glass. "How do you spend it?" I swallowed, because this wasn't just a question. It was a test. What they didn't know that money had never felt like freedom to me. It felt like a shadow. Every success questioned, every failure mocked. If I failed, well, she's rich anyway. If I succeeded, easy when you're funded. The trust fund wasn't a gift. It was a label. My childhood with a price tag. I grew up surrounded by luxury, but starved of something else. Privacy, trust, belief. I was never praised for effort, only measured by potential. "You have no excuse," they'd say. "With your resources." They never taught me how to fail. The one rule I broke. The trust fund had conditions. Education milestones. Behavior clauses. Silence agreements. It was supposed to protect me. Instead, it controlled me. And at 18, I made a decision that terrified them. I locked it away. Back to the birthday table. I looked at my grandpa. At my parents. My cousins. My uncles. They expected numbers. Cars. Trips. Investments. They expected proof that money had shaped me. Instead, I said, "I don't spend it." The shock. Laughter. Soft at first, then louder. Someone said, "Don't joke." Another added, "Be honest." My grandpa's smile tightened. "Everyone spends," he said calmly. "That's the point." I nodded. "Not for me." Why I didn't touch the money? Because I wanted to know who I was without it. I wanted to earn failure. Earn respect. Earn confidence. I wanted to look in the mirror and know. Nothing was handed to me. The moment everything shifted, my grandpa stared at me longer than usual. Not angry. Not proud. Curious. "Then what do you live on?" he asked. I took a breath. My own income. What they didn't see coming. I wasn't living lavish. I was working hard. Jobs they thought were beneath our name. And I loved it, because for the first time in my life, every dollar meant something. I didn't tell them everything that night. Not about the tiny apartment. Not about the secondhand furniture. Not about the alarm clock that rang before sunrise every single day. They saw confidence. They didn't see effort. Choosing the hard way. When I turned 18, the trust fund became accessible. One signature. One meeting. Yes. That's all it would have taken. Instead, I signed something else. A lease. Small. Cheap. Mine. I wanted a life that responded to my choices, not theirs. My first job. It wasn't glamorous. Early mornings. Long shifts. Customers who didn't know my last name. And that was the best part. I wasn't the heir. I was just another worker trying to get it right. I learned discipline there. Not the kind money enforces. The kind hunger teaches. The silence was loud. My family stopped calling as often. When they did, the tone changed. "Why struggle? What are you trying to prove? You don't need this." But I did, because comfort had always been expected of me. Meaning had not. Failure without a safety net. I failed. A lot. Bad interviews. Rejected applications. Mistakes that cost me rent money. I learned how heavy failure feels when there's no inheritance to catch you. And I learned something else too. Failure didn't destroy me. It sharpened me. Living small, dreaming big. I counted coins. I skipped meals. I walked instead of rode. But every struggle felt honest. I wasn't buying confidence. I was building it. The first real win. 3 years in, I got promoted. No family connections. No favors. Just performance. My boss shook my hand. You earned this, she said. That sentence meant more than any check ever could. The phone call that changed everything. One evening, my mom called. I hear you're doing okay, she said. Not proud, not impressed, concerned. Why don't you just use the money? I paused, because then I'd never know if I could do this on my own. Silence. Then, your grandfather won't like this. Good, because for the first time, I wasn't living for his approval. The weight of expectation lifted. As the years passed, something changed. I stopped comparing, stopped explaining, stopped defending my choices. My life became quieter, but stronger. Back to that birthday table. I looked around again, at people who had everything handed to them, and still looked restless, still looked uncertain. I realized something that night. Money doesn't buy direction, it only amplifies who you already are. My grandpa's eyes. He was still watching me. Not judging, measuring, and for the first time, I didn't feel small under his gaze. The email came on a Tuesday morning. Subject line, Trust Fund Review Meeting. No greeting, no explanation, just a date, a time, and a location. I knew what it meant. The rules I never agreed to. The trust fund wasn't just money. It was leverage, pages of conditions written long before I was old enough to understand them. What I could study, where I could live, who I could associate with, what kind of life was considered acceptable. They called it guidance. I called it control. The meeting room. The room was polished, cold, perfectly balanced. My grandfather sat at the head of the table. Lawyers on both sides. I was the youngest in the room, and the only one without a suit. The offer. My grandfather spoke first. You've made your point, he said calmly. You've struggled. You've proven discipline. He slid a folder toward me. Now let the money work for you. Inside were numbers that could change everything. Housing covered. Education funded. Investments waiting. All I had to do was agree. The catch. There's always a catch. He leaned forward slightly. You'll leave your current job, he said. It's beneath our family name. There it was. The line. The job that saved me. They didn't understand that job wasn't just income. It was identity. It was where I learned I could survive. Where my effort mattered more than my last name. Walking away from it felt like erasing myself. The ultimatum. My grandfather's voice hardened. You can have independence, he said. Or you can have support. Not both. The old fear returned. For a moment, fear crept in. The apartment, the bills, the exhaustion. Taking the money would make life easier. Saying no would make it harder. But then I realized something. Easy wasn't what I was building. My answer. I closed the folder. I choose my life, I said. The room froze. Lawyers exchanged looks. My grandfather stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. The price of saying no. You understand what you're giving up? He asked. I nodded. Yes. And I meant more than money. I meant approval. The consequences. Within weeks, access tightened. Communication slowed. Invitations stopped. The message was clear. Fall in line, or be forgotten. But something unexpected happened. I didn't fall apart. I didn't panic. I felt free. The truth about power. Power doesn't come from having money. It comes from not needing it to be yourself. Success didn't arrive loudly. It crept in quietly, disguised as routine. Early mornings, late nights, days that looked the same. Years where no one clapped. Living without applause. After I refused the money, my life didn't collapse. But it didn't shine either. I lived in the in-between. No luxury, no praise, no safety net, just consistency. And consistency is invisible until it compounds. Loneliness hits differently. Friends moved on. Family gatherings felt awkward. I was the one who chose struggle. They didn't say it out loud. But they didn't need to. Learning the real value of money. I learned to budget before I learned to dream. To save before I splurged. To respect small numbers. Because small numbers, repeated, create big futures. The quiet growth. I studied at night. Courses no one knew about. Skills no one paid attention to yet. I invested in myself with time instead of cash. And time was harder to spend. Moments of doubt. There were nights I questioned everything. Was I stubborn? Was I proud? Was I wasting an advantage people would kill for? Then I remembered why I started. I didn't want comfort. I wanted ownership. A different kind of wealth. While others chased status, I chased competence. While they traveled, I trained. While they displayed success, I prepared for it. I was becoming dangerous in silence. The day I realized I had changed. One morning, I checked my account. For the first time, I wasn't anxious. Not rich, but stable. And stability, earned, felt powerful. The distance grew. My grandfather stopped calling, not out of anger, out of confusion. I no longer fit his blueprint. But I fit my own. And that was enough. The strength of slow progress. Years passed. And one day, I realized. I didn't need the trust fund to feel secure. I had built my own foundation. Brick by brick,